Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Learn. Today we are going to discuss a PYQ. Let's begin. And the first question as usual will be, it's a general one. We'll have to select yes. Going to the first question, it's a speech segment and they're asking to fill in the blanks with appropriate discourse markers. So what exactly are these discourse markers? These are also called as linking words or sentence connectors. The word discourse itself means spoken or written communication. And with these discourse markers, the connection between the sentence and the paragraph, they become more clear and smooth to either listener or reader. They are asking to observe the tone and punctuation of the passage and choose only the most fitting answer for every blank. Let's see. Is it easier to write for adults than it is to write for children because you have done both successfully? Blank. It's much harder to write for children. Let's first see the options. So basically in the passage they're asking about the opinion of the author. And when it comes to opinion, there are three different things. Positive, negative and unsure. As it's an opinion, there's only chance of these things to be chosen. And if you see here, we get yeah and no. And why do we choose yeah here? Because they've already mentioned that he has done both of it successfully. That he has written both adult and children books. As it is a positive thing, we choose yes or yeah, both are same amongst the other options. Hope it's clear. And the next thing, they are asking why. I don't know why. The obvious answer, blank, is that children have less concentration. It might be something we already know because it's given here, obvious, and it's a fact that children have less concentration. So if you see the options, of course. Why of course? Because we use it to refer things that are obvious and or are already known to the speaker and to everybody. It's an obvious thing. And moving ahead, blank. How do you reckon you have kept in touch with a child's mind? So they're asking a reason, a cause. Suitable discourse markers would be related to a causal discourse marker like because, so, therefore. Let's see the options. So then, yeah, as we guessed, a causal thing, we can see it here. So now you can add this to the sentence and read it together. So then, how do you reckon you have kept in touch with a child's mind? And if you see the other options, what's more, it does not go with the sentence. And coming to on top of that is used to give additional information, to add information. But here he's an interviewer, so he's asking questions. He cannot add information while asking a question. For a start, this is used to start a conversation, but here the conversation has already started. And the next one, if you see, there's not many fellows of 66 who rock with laughter at knock-knock jokes and things like that and other childish things. Blank. Most people, male or female, by that age or even by 40 or 50, become pretty serious and moderately pompous, and that's no good, is it? So if we see, they're saying that after a certain age or during old age, people do not like childish things and don't get laugh or get entertained by some knock-knock jokes or something. And it's the same being said in the next sentence too. Let's see the options. Absolutely, I mean, wonderful, that's great. Wonderful and that's great can be easily eliminated. It's not an appreciable thing. The reason I mean is the answer is, it is used as a discourse marker to clarify or further explain something you have already said. As we have already observed here, the same thing, what is said in this sentence is being said in the next sentence too. It means he's probably giving reasoning to the previous sentence he has said. When I mean is also used for that. signaling to the listener that you are about to provide more additional information. So the answer is I mean. If you read it, you will get that. I mean, most people, male or female, goes on. Well, saddened by life, maybe you could have been, but you, blank, don't seem to be. It's rather something related to emphasis, maybe. Let's see the options. Apparently, ideally, unfortunately, roughly. So the reason the answer is apparently is it itself means as far as one knows. It is used to add emphasis. So if we see here, apparently. But you apparently don't seem to be. Moving ahead. It's an excerpt from an essay written by Henry David. We are saying to read this and answer the given sub-questions. First, let's see what's the first question. If it's necessary to read the paragraph, then we can go ahead. Which of the following is not an adverb used by the essayist in the first paragraph to influence the reader? So according to the question, we can say that all these four are used in the first paragraph and they are asking which of them is not an adverb. I don't think we need to read the essay to know the answer as expediency, because adverbs generally do have ly to the end. It's a basic thing. And as far as this is considered, it's a noun, which means state of being appropriate for a situation. And for this to be adverb, it has to be expediently. Whereas it's expediency, which is a noun. They asked what is not an adverb. So this is the answer. We don't have to go through the essay for this. Coming to the next question. Given below are combination of words used by essayist to influence and persuade the reader's viewpoint. Match the adverb or adjective with a word that it describes. So maybe for this we'll have to go through the essay. I'm not going to read the whole passage as it will take a lot of time, but you'll have to read it in order to find out the words. But I'll just show you where the words are. In the second paragraph, you find complicated missionary. So we found one word, and moving ahead, we have the other three words in the last paragraph. In the last part, if you see, they have no doubt that it is a damnable business in which they are concerned. They are all peaceably inclined. Now what are they? Men at all, or movable forts and magazines. So we have found all the four words, which is damnable business, peaceably inclined, movable forts, complicated missionary, and if you match out the correct numbers, the option would be this. Moving ahead. Which of the following is not an verb adverb or adverb verb combination used by the essayist to influence the reader? If you see the options here, speak, decide, amounts. All these are verbs, and practically, equally, virtually, finally. All of these four words are adverbs. Liable is an adjective. As liable is an adjective, it becomes adverb-adjective combination, which is the odd one out. Which of the following is not an adjective-noun combination used by the essayist to influence the reader? Again the same. If you see, all these three words are adjectives. Gun, man, respect are nouns. Feign is an adverb. Succeed is a verb. Both of them are completely different. They are asking adjective now. These are adverb verb. Feign is an adverb which means willingly or gladly. So this is the odd one out. And that's the answer. Moving ahead, consider the italicized words or phrases used by the essayist in the following sentences. To influence the reader, choose the option that correctly classifies the italicized words or phrases. The first one is usually. It is an adverb. It describes how often something happens. If you see all the options, option 3 has the first one as an adverb. The second one is sometimes. It is also an adverb. It also describes how often something happens. Though these both have, but we'll choose this as enough. And third one, After all, it is considered a discourse marker in English as it functions to give a reason or justification for a previous statement which is already made. It is actually an adverbial phrase. And it's also a discourse marker as we discussed. You see, it would even adverb would have been correct, but seeing the previous two answers, we'll be going with the third option only. And the fourth one, unimpaired. It is an adjective, and this one says past participle. And the reason it is past participle is it is originated from past participle impaired. Unimpaired came from the past participle impaired. And the next fifth one, conscientious. It is an adjective. It describes a person or action as being careful. So it is typically used to modify a noun. So it is an adjective. Considering all the other four answers, the correct option is option number 3. And moving ahead, he was playing cricket. If the stress is on he, they are saying the stress is on he. They are saying the focus will be on subject, focus will be on cricket, conveys exclamation, no. When the focus is on he, if you see here, he is the one performing the action. He was playing cricket. He is the subject. Was playing is the verb. If you go to the tense, it is past continuous tense, and cricket is the object. And as they said that stress is on he, the focus will be on subject because he is the subject here. Moving ahead, the sun rises in the east. This sentence would ordinarily be spoken in a intonation, and this is a flat intonation. The sun rises in the east. It is a fact. The pitch of voice remains same throughout the sentence. We can say it as monotonous or having no intonation. For example, if you say your name, my name is Ananya. There is no change in the pitch. It's the same all over the sentence. As it is a fact, it is a flat intonation. Moving ahead, telling a rude customer to have a nice day is an example of irony. Yes, true. Why it is true? What is irony actually? It is the expression of one's meaning by using language that normally signifies the opposite as an humorous effect. They are saying rude customer. If you say positive thing to a person who is rude to you, obviously you say it in a mocking tone or in a humorous way. That is the meaning of irony, so true. Moving ahead, blind as a bat is an example of simile, metonymy, synecdoche, metaphor. It is an example of simile. Because simile directly compares two things through connectives such as like, as, than, or verbs like resembles, etc. If you say blind as a bat, they compare two completely unrelated things. Next question. His peculiarity became at length intolerable to those words whose minds lent themselves readily to suspicion. The word in italics, which is readily, in the given sentence is, okay, they are asking which kind of adverb it is. In this sentence, readily is a comment adverb because it is conveying the writer's judgment of what, about how these minds lend themselves to suspicion. Comment adverb is the exact same thing. It expresses a speaker's or writer's attitude by indicating how they judge an action. Moving ahead, spot the error in the given sentence. Certainly she had met with disappointment at the beginning of her own career. What is the error here? Everything is good. There is no problem in subject-verb agreement or spellings. It's that we have to put a punctuation, a comma besides certainly. This is the right form of writing a sentence. So the error is in punctuation. Adverbs that indicate judgment of someone's action are called comment adverbs. We have discussed this just now previously in the 57th question. Read the following sentence and identify how many adverbial phrases of place are in it. Finally, I walked toward my car, parked near the whistling pine trees. If you observe here, towards my car, near the whistling pine trees. It indicates the direction of movement. And this specifies the location where the car is parked. Both are indicating about some place. They are asking adverbial phrases of place. So it has two adverbial phrases. Toward my car and near the whistling pine trees. Hope it's clear. Moving ahead. The tree stumps had been worn smooth and comfortable by years of use. The phrase in italics is an. Again, they're asking the type of adverb. Here, the by years of use, it explains how the tree stumps became worn smooth and comfortable. It is telling us the process by which the action happened through prolonged usage of years, many years. It is explaining us the means by which the action happened. Adverb of manner describes the way in which an action is performed, and here in the sentence, by years of use is doing the same thing. Moving ahead, identify the adverb in the following sentence. Eventually something broke. Eventually. It is describing the manner or time in which an action is occurring. So it is considered an adverb. Identify the adverb in the following sentence. My cousin has been my friend since childhood. It is modifying a verb by indicating a point in time in the past. Moving ahead. Identify the degree adverb or adverbs in the given sentence. She must really be made to tell. Really is the degree adverb here. What exactly are degree adverbs? They modify adjectives, verbs, or other adverbs to indicate extent or degree. And so if you see here in the sentence, she must really be made to tell. It is indicating the extent. So really is the answer. 65th question. Very is used to denote a high degree of something. Now the other two options. The extent or degree, very, very much. The next question. Consider the following sentences and spot the ones in which degree adverbs are used correctly. We just learned what degree adverbs are. They are asking which among these sentences they are used correctly. I spent many times there quite undisturbed. There was something quite charming in his appearance. I returned with my interest quite awakened. So here if you see, in this sentence it is modifying the word undisturbed, charming, awakened. So in all these three sentences, the degree adverbs are used correctly. So the answer is all of this. Moving ahead. Virat Kohli's performance was blank, disappointing. Was very disappointing. Both of them are adverbs of degree, but they are used differently depending on the word they are modifying. Very is used before adjectives and adverbs, but not before verbs. It actually intensifies the meaning of the adjective and adverb. If you see here, the correct answer is very, because disappointing is an adjective. Coming to very much, it is used before verbs and nouns, also nouns in some cases. It is also used with certain adjectives that cannot take very directly. But the general things I have given here. Moving ahead. Complete the following sentence with appropriate degree adverb. The movie was very entertaining. As we just saw, very is used before adjectives and adverbs, and entertaining is an adjective. So, we use degree adverb very here. Moving ahead, 69th question. Choose the most grammatically correct sentence. Yesterday was an alarming quiet day. Yesterday was quite a day alarming. Yesterday was alarming a quiet day. Yesterday was quite an alarming day. If you see here, quite, it is a degree adverb. It is modifying an alarming day, which is adjective plus noun phrase. Noun, alarming is adjective, day is a noun, and is an article. If you see here, quite plus article plus adjective plus noun. This is the correct order. According to English, and remaining other options have incorrect word order or misplaced modifiers. So this is the correct option. Moving ahead. In the following sentence, identify the nature of adjective. The adjectives are underlined. Brisk walking is faster than normal walking. If you see here, it's very easy to identify that faster is a predicative adjective because predicative adjectives are the ones which appear after a linking verb, which is here. So it is predicative. And coming to the normal, it is attributive. It appears before the noun it modifies. Here the noun is walking. So this is attributive. Predicative adjectives are the ones that appears after a linking verb. Attributive are the ones that appear before the noun they modify. Moving ahead. Identify the adjective from the following sentence. It is a yellow dress. It is modifying the noun dress. So yellow is the adjective. So the next question. Spot the adjective from the following options. So the answer is talkative. It describes a noun by indicating that someone likes to talk a lot. Truth is a noun. It is a quality that cannot be touched. Adoration is also a noun. It refers to a feeling of deep love and admiration. Ability is also a noun. It means the power or skill to do something, whereas talkative is adjective. In the sentence, tramps and vagabonds have been making marks on our gate post. What is the perfective marker? If you see here, it's easily have been because the auxiliary have is combined with the past participle been. It is exactly what is called a perfect aspect. And they ask what is the perfective marker. So have been is the perfective marker here. It actually means that this the action has a connection to the present moment. If you combine this have been making, then it implies that the act of making marks has started in the past and is still ongoing or has very recently finished. Moving ahead, in this sentence, the black cat had been living in an old cat bed that one of the children had found for him. The combination of been and the suffix ing added to the verb live indicates they're asking which tense it is. Had been. It is auxiliary verb phrase and living is present participle. This, and if you observe clearly, this what forms the past perfect continuous tense. So the answer is perfect continuous aspect. The combination of being and living, live plus ing, living. It shows both the perfect aspect and the continuous aspect. Moving ahead. He studied hard for the test, so he scored well. They're asking what kind of sentence is this. If you see here, it clearly has two independent clauses. He studied hard for the test is 1. He scored well is 2. And it is being joined by coordinating conjunction so. So it is a compound sentence. Why are these independent clauses? They have both their subject and predicate of their own. If you see here, the subject is he and predicate is studied hard for the test. And even here, he is the subject, scored well is a predicate. And they have been joined by a coordinating conjunction. So, it's a compound sentence. The contract will be issued by the government. In this sentence, the verb will be issued will change to what when converted to active voice. So, they are asking us to convert the sentence into an active voice. First, identify the subject, verb and object. The government is the subject here. Why? Because it is the doer of the action. And the verb is will be issued. The contract is the object because it is the receiver of the action. Now, to change this sentence into active voice, we'll have to make the subject the doer of the action, which becomes the government will issue the contract. Will be issued will change to will issue. Moving ahead, John still believed that his team would win the match. Here the noun clause functions as a. What is the noun clause here first of all? But his team could win the match is the noun clause here because it acts as a single unit with a noun like function. If you ask, John still believed, what did John believe? The answer would be he believed that his team could win the match. Since this noun clause is the object of the verb believed, it functions as the direct object of the sentence. So here the noun clause functions as an object. The clause what she said in the sentence I heard what she said is a noun clause because it acts as a noun within the sentence. I heard, it's the same as the previous one. What did you hear? You heard what she said. So it is a noun clause. Identify the adjectival clause in the following sentence and the noun it modifies. After finishing her homework, which took several hours, she rewarded herself with a relaxing bubble bath. So what exactly is adjectival clause? It is also called as relative clause. It describes or gives more information about a noun. Here if you see, which took several hours is giving more information about her homework. It begins with the relative pronoun which is making it a dependent clause. So we got that it is an adjectival clause. All the options have the adjectival clause. Okay, let's first see the noun here. Here the clause which took several hours. It is giving more details about the homework. So this is the noun. My dog, who is very friendly, loves to play around with me, is a compound sentence they are saying which is false. It is a complex sentence. How? A complex sentence contains one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. If you see here, my dog loves to play around me. This can stand alone as a complete sentence. Who is very friendly? It is a subordinate clause, means dependent. So the relative clause who is very friendly is adding extra information about my dog, making it a complex sentence. One independent clause and at least one dependent clause. Moving ahead. Identify the adjunct in the following sentence. What exactly is adjunct? First of all, it is an optional part of a sentence. It's not a compulsory part. It adds extra information about time, manner, place or reason. But it is not necessary for the sentence to be grammatically correct. In this case, if you see, John quickly ate his breakfast. Quickly is the adjunct here. Why? John ate his breakfast. That's a grammatically complete and sensible sentence. But quickly is here is giving more information about manner, like how the action is performed. How did he eat his breakfast? Quickly. So it's basically an adverbial adjunct. And the last question, I completely forgot about his arrival. State whether the underlined are adjunct or complement. I completely forgot about his arrival. If you remove that, I forgot about his arrival, it is still a complete, grammatically correct and sensible sentence without completely. It is an adverb which is modifying the verb forget. So it's an adjunct. And with this, we have discussed the PYQ. Hope you have no doubts, and we also covered almost all the important topics of the Quiz 1 syllabus. Still, if you have any doubts, let me know. Have a good day.